That Joke Isn't Funny Anymore. Available on Amazon and everywhere.
Hello and welcome to Live from America podcast. Very special episode with very special guests. We've been off for a few weeks, but one of my 2025 resolutions, podcasting wise, is to do a lot of episodes. You're going to hear a lot from me. Either you like it or not, it's going to be there. But very special episode with a very good friend, the author of one of the best books out there. I think you should read it because it really says a lot about these days, and it reflects a lot of things. This book came, when did it come, Lou? About a year and a half ago?
Yeah, September 6th, 2022 is when it first came out. That Joke Isn't Funny Anymore. Yeah.
And a lot of things, like we see the results of the election, all the anti-walk, all the things that's happening, all the, kind of like was mentioned in the book, or the book was kind of warning from it a little bit, about the sensitivity and all that. So that joke is not funny anymore. The author, Lou Perez, is here. He is comedian, co-producer of a lot of comedy shows. We do it together. And he's here tonight, or today. Great to have you, Lou.
Lovely to be here. Thank you. It's funny because we've been seeing each other a lot off of screen. But but I haven't been back on Live from America for a while. So thank you, and thank you so much for being so gracious that you're going to allow me to release this on my platform.
Yeah, so, this is a collaboration. So we're doing two podcasts in one.
Crossover. We're doing a crossover collaboration. The Lou Perez Podcast and Live from America. I mean, we're about to break the internet right now.
That's right. There you go. The Lou Perez. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. The Manhattan congestion relief zone, the California fires, the TikTok ban, Greenland, so much. Joe Rogan, his interview obviously with Mark Zuckerberg and Mel Gibson. It's so much to talk about. It's been a while, so let's jump in it. First thing is, like, you don't live in New York,
right?
But you do a lot of shows here. What do you think of the new toll thing, the congestion relief zone?
Yeah, so when I first heard about it, it upset me as a commuter and someone who has a lot of years under his belt of just like traveling into the city by car. But I haven't done it yet this year. So this we're recording whatever date we're recording. I don't know, but I'm going to be going to the city for the first time for some shows this week. And one show is in Midtown, and then the other show is in Brooklyn. So we'll see, what that looks like. And I talked to a guy earlier today who was a big fan of congestion pricing. He doesn't have a car. He lives in Queens, and he's able to take the subway everywhere. And it kind of got me thinking, like, this might be an example of something that that I may have been against, but it might turn out to be good for me because I'm lucky in that I don't have to commute every day into the city, So if I'm commuting into the city, maybe a few days a week at the most, maybe it's worth the extra money that I'll be paying for whatever time I get back, however, if the impact on traffic is going to be for the better, it might turn out that it works out for me. It might suck for a lot of other people, but it might be something that I benefit from. And I mean, you drive, so how's it, affecting you right now?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like what you're saying. I think we'll wait and see. I remember I used to smoke, and when the smoking ban in the restaurant came out, I was like so upset. And then even though I was smoking at the time, it actually worked better because you don't smoke all the time and it doesn't smell. So it turned out to be okay. But it's just like, I don't see how is this in this time of year and economy and all this is good for anybody, especially that you going, because the price is going to come back and haunt you at some point. So cabs, there's obviously special deal and stuff like that. But it's going to end up, the customer is going to end up paying. So a lot of some businesses actually are offering $9 refund downtown. Yeah. But I'm sure they will raise the prices. So I don't know. And I don't see how you're going to see immediate impact of that money. Where's that money going? If it's going to the subway, are you going to see immediate impact Like I know they were thinking of putting like kind of like a buffer zone, like a little plastic wall so people don't get pushed anymore, or stabbed or anything like that. I don't know. Maybe if they spend the money paying the police more, the cops more, and have more presence in the subway, I'll be for that. But I think as much as they say like, okay, this is we're collecting that money, they should say where is that money going? And I think for New Yorkers, we need to see something immediate that you feel okay. If I see a lot of police present, I know the police and MTA had two different things, but maybe they can hire, do a contract or something.
Yeah, it's you bring up a good point. So, a few things there. One, it was just enacted, right? So it is weird to see people who are in favor of it saying it's working great. This is amazing. It's like, well, it just happened. So we're still, people are still getting used to it. People are going to be figuring out what their commute is going to look like. Is it really in their best interest? And then, with the subway, timing wise, I mean, it would be one thing if congestion pricing was enacted and the subway was fantastic and like nobody was complaining about there were no big headlines of people horrific things happening, people being pushed, stabbed, the poor woman who was set on fire. So the timing wise, just from a PR standpoint, doesn't seem isn't that good because it's really in the same way that I might end up benefiting from congestion pricing, as a commuter who comes in every now and then. You have people who have a good time on the subway. Like you got young men who aren't worried about their safety on the subway. That's not the case though for
Yep.
women, old elderly people with children. So I think it's really important to be able to think beyond yourself and also what impact is this going to have on the other people. And somebody had made a really good point about the rollout. you know they're rolling this out in January when the weather has been so cold. It's been so cold and miserable, as opposed to waiting for like the spring or the summer where people are taking to the streets more. Where you might see like more of an immediate
Yeah.
response. Where it's more positive too.
That's actually a great point. Yeah. And you can take the bike, you can walk,
Right.
a lot of stuff. I think it's also political. They probably wanted to release it right before, Trump gets in. I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. It does make the one thing that I think a benefit from it immediately was I always see if it make decisions easier for me. Like let's say I'm gonna meet you. I was like, is it worth the $9? You know, and I have to evaluate, especially in dates. Like,
Absolutely not.
is that
It's
a
not
nine?
worth-
Is it a $9 worth of date or 250? Let's make it up.
Right.
Ladies, if somebody call you, I was like, make a date at 9:05. No, exactly. He's cheap. So so that's one of the things. But we'll see. But again, I would like to see like immediate, because New Yorkers, they're not patient. They want to see something happening right away with that money. Especially that money is a lot of money that they're collecting.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's move to the next one. You lived in California for a while. You produced shows there. You did one of the best open micers shows when you started there, and then you had a couple of shows there that was on a regular basis. And you put that picture of you and Michelle, your wife, in California when the fire started happening. By the way, that picture looks like every documentary when a girl disappear, and the guy next to her is like, "Well, the suspect was her boyfriend," and that was exactly that picture. I would have shared it, but I'm not gonna do that to you. But
Yeah,
yeah, what's your
yeah.
thoughts? I mean, it's so sad, but
Yeah, so well, for one, the picture that you're talking about, that was my wife, then girlfriend. She came and visited me for Valentine's Day of I think 2013, and we went for a long walk and a hike. So we walked all the way from the house where I was renting a room, all the way up to the Hollywood sign and back.
yeah.
And
Let me translate that to the audience. He had no money.
I had no, there was no congestion pricing,
Whenever
but I
there's
could
long
afford.
walks involved, that's what it means.
And we walked something like, I think it was like 12 miles that day, or just, all the way up to the Hollywood sign and back. And we ended up living there together. I think we lived there 2 years together. So I spent a number of years out in California, and you know, I loved it. We loved living in California. There's very much, for a lot of people, it's an either or. It's like either you love New York or you love LA. And for us, we loved it, and it was just different. It was a different, way of life. So it's a place that I loved. It's a place where still people I love, live there. And so many people that I know, either, in passing or in friendships, have been impacted by this. The number of comedians that I know from, coming up, whose houses burnt down and are just gone. There's a woman, her name is Jackie Clark, who was my first improv coach, all these years back. You probably, maybe you're going 20 years back. Such a funny, talented comedian. And she and her husband had a home in Altadena, and I believe they have two children. And the house burnt down; it's gone. And her husband, and I don't think I've ever met her husband, but they put together a GoFundMe, and she talked about how her husband was a record collector, so he collected all of these vinyl records, and he had like a collection of like 10,000 records that are all gone. Some of these, beyond, I think beyond just being music that he likes, were, collector's items. And it really, kind of puts into perspective how just important the home is. Like there are a lot of people who aren't impacted, but that I've seen comment on it. It's like, oh, they're just objects, or and all that. And it's like no, there's something about a home that is very powerful and so important. And when I'm hearing all these stories coming out of just all this destruction, and I'm listening to it and hearing about it in my home, that my wife and I, we moved in 4 years ago, and we renovated, and where our kids sleep, and where our kids play and all that. And to think that, like, what would I do if it was all gone, to tomorrow? And it's really painful. And I am happy that that so many people are stepping up in California to help one another. So many neighbors are banding together, and just trying to help each other.
Yeah. Sadly, it's always you see the best of humanity in disasters. Um,
Yeah.
So many times I remember COVID or any wars and war zone and stuff like that. You find people like really when they, especially if they're able to relate to something and losing, even if like there's even the super rich that lost their homes and people be like, well, they're super rich, they can afford it. Yeah, but it's like you say, it's different. It's home, you know. But what do you think of the fact that I was hoping that now with Trump is elected, we stop with the blaming, oh, this is a governor, Democratic governor, this is a Republican, with the blaming thing. Without, obviously any disaster needs investigation and we need to know the truth, and we don't need to know the truth because, it's Newsom or, the mayor is Democrat. We need to know the truth because it's the truth, and to avoid it. But what do you think of that? What do you think of like that some people still trying to continue in that path in the middle of all this shit?
Uh, well, I mean, it's something where I think, I've commented, here and there about what's going on. I think more than anything, I'm kind of blown away by, the fires are something that happen regularly,
Yeah.
in California. The some years back there were the Malibu fires, and my wife and I have friends a friend who grew up in Malibu and whose parents still lived out there and had to evacuate and all that. So there are these disasters that they know are going to happen. So, when you hear things like, were the reservoirs full or weren't they full? Were they full, but they weren't able to, get the water that was necessary and all that? It starts to, as far as, where the blame goes, I don't know who specifically the blame is on, but it's just, it just seems like just kind of like gross incompetence that, you're not prepared as best as you can,
Yeah.
no matter who's in charge. And also, it's something too, like you bring up, like, a lot of wealthy people, have lost their homes, and a lot of people who obviously aren't wealthy. But you would think that, if you have a $10 million home or something, that you would want to make sure that, should disaster strike, that everything is being done. You would want to hold whoever's in charge of that accountable, you
Yeah.
know. So I don't know if it's something where, perhaps because of uh, uh, just because of partisanship, that maybe stuff didn't get done because it was sort of like, well, the other team is saying this, so F them.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I think the blame game should happen later, and shouldn't be the blame game. It should be more of investigation and know the solution. But I remember there was a Joe Rogan's one time he was discussing, and this fighter told him, he was telling the story, is like one day it's gonna be the perfect storm. It's gonna be the fire with the exact direction of the wind blowing in a certain way with a certain, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. And I think that's what happened, is like, it was just a perfect storm. You would think that with all the technology we have and all this, that, like you said, they'll be better prepared for it.
Yeah.
But also it could be that sometimes, nature is just way powerful to a lot of things. You cannot be prepared for something like that. I just feel like if there is reasons, human reasons that we know should be investigated and we know about it. But I think right now what they need is prayers and help, and but I wonder if we can stop a natural disaster. I mean, you hear, I remember I was in Thailand, visiting the tsunami.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like I don't think, and I remember there was like I visited a couple of years after the tsunami, and if you go to any hotel in Thailand, have you been?
No, no, I haven't been.
Okay. Um, as comedian Tony Darrow say, it's the best gender relief party there. Relief party out of Thailand. But when you go to any hotel in Thailand, they have this, tsunami evacuation plan, the tsunami preparation of something happen, and it just seemed to me like calculating the time. It's just like it's not possible to follow that plan.
Right.
First of all, a lot of times they're like most of the hotels are not like high, like 20 floors or something, and it feels like there's certain natural disaster just it's just gonna happen and you should hope for the best and be prepared for it.
Well, I think this one is maybe a little different in that, there's obviously the natural disaster of the fires, that the fires happen, and the Santa Ana winds that are blowing, or you know uh bringing the fire to places where it wasn't. But then there are, clear examples of arson. So, like, in the midst of this natural disaster, people are burning shit,
Yeah.
which is so, like, it's so evil to do it, because, like, it would be like you're in Thailand during the tsunami, and then over here a guy is drowning people.
Yeah.
It's just, um so, and then, I mean, the amount of people now who are, taking advantage of all the homes that have been evacuated and are going in and robbing these homes and all that. It's yeah, I can't imagine being there. I have a friend of mine who, he was back in New York for the holidays, and he flew back, and he's in the Studio City area. And in his apartment complex, he said there's only four people have stayed back. Everyone else evacuated. And I think he's in if he was told to evacuate, he would be. So he's in a safe place as far as the fires go. But his landlord had to, like, chase away, some people who were casing out the place to rob it. Like with
Yeah.
ski masks and all that. And I asked him, do you have a gun? And he made, like, a joke about it. He doesn't. He apparently doesn't.
California is not gonna have a gun.
Yeah, yeah, he doesn't have it. But it's like, I wouldn't be flying back to go to my home unless it's to collect my shit and get out of there. I wouldn't be going there to stay unless I, had a weapon on me,
Yeah.
because, you're not going to overpower, two or three guys who are looking to rob the place. So it's, obviously, I hope, I hope he doesn't have to deal with anything like that. But it's scary, man. And just seeing what people are capable of doing, the good, the amazing stuff. Like Mike Cernovich has been doing so much to raise funds to help people out. There's a guy, Chef Gruel. He and his wife have been collecting supplies at their restaurant in Huntington Beach. These are all just really just beautiful people getting together to help. And then on the other side of that are people who are, coming together to do just terrible harm.
Yeah. I mean, everybody kind of like do what they do in life in general. If you
Yeah,
are,
yeah, yeah,
that's what you do. But the people cause them fires and stuff like that. It kind of it brings me to like makes me think of New York City, the people that push people in front of the subways and stuff like that. They must be mentally ill. So we have a major problem, with the people that mentally ill because no one in the right mind in the middle of all this. It reminds me of the movie The Joker when he's like, well, just people want to watch the world burn.
mm,
It's just like to have people like that. It's just like they must be like there's a lot of mentally ill people out there in the streets. Uh, but and again, and it's so sad that we say that during like disasters and stuff like that, but the police and firefighters, they don't give enough credit. We only say it in the middle of like shit like that. They should be paid very well, compensated for all this and recognized the whole time, not only during disasters. And not only like you see like when firefighters come from Texas, from all around the world, the
yeah,
states to help and stuff like that.
yeah. To
Um,
mobilize the
yeah, it's crazy. But I think instead of blaming and the news is about, oh, the Newsom did this, that, the news should be like, why did this start? There should be a full investigation, and then we stop politicizing. Like everything is not political.
Well, even and this isn't even like a political point I'll say about Gavin Newsom. He's so weird on camera because it seems like most of the times that I ever see him on camera, it's with stuff like this. It's like with disasters and all that. And he's I don't know if it's a nervous tick he has where he keeps like a smile on. It's really fucking weird. So I mean that's not even a political statement, because the guy,
Yeah.
he could be full of shit or he could be the most honest guy in the world, but yeah, it's kind of a creepy thing,
Do you remember the movie Gone Girl
Oh
with
yeah,
Ben
yeah.
Affleck? Whenever
Uh-huh.
like his wife was missing, whenever somebody take a selfie, he smiles and they're like, "Why are you smiling in the middle of the interviews about your wife being kidnapped?" So it's kind of like what you say.
Oh, I haven't seen that in a while, but I remember yeah, I
Yeah.
remember enjoying that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw it recently because I needed something good. But let's move to the next one. TikTok. TikTok
TikTok.
ban.
Yeah.
What's your thought in TikTok ban? We will find there was a rumor that they might have Elon Musk buy it, which I really don't think like this is going to be horrible. You cannot have the same people have everything and control everything. And for TikTok, I truly believe, especially with the Gaza war and all the things that happen and all this, if we did not have TikTok, we would not be able to because I think Facebook and Instagram probably would have banned a lot of things, but they can't ban it because TikTok is playing it, so now they have to play it too. So I think we have to have people have different, different companies. They can have one person say, "Okay, I'm going to ban this or not ban this, or this is the standards, or this is not the standard." But anyway, what do you think of TikTok getting banned? Do you really believe it's because China can hurt us through it, or it's just because it's not a United States company?
Well, it's funny with the banning stuff, because it seems like each platform has its own shit that it bans.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, I want to know about if I want to know about Gaza, I gotta go to TikTok. If I want to know about what the grooming gangs in England, I gotta go to X now. So that's interesting, just trying to navigate that. And as a content creator for years, I've had to like navigate that. I've had stuff that I had posted on TikTok that got removed. But then I
Oh,
also had
really?
stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. One of them was a joke about Apu and Hank Azaria, and that was removed for it went against whatever guidelines that they had. So it was it as a an online creator, it has been confusing about, okay, this is okay on Instagram, it's not okay on TikTok, and vice versa. I got concerned with TikTok when I was working for FIRE, for the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, because I started talking to some of the people there who were writing about security concerns and TikTok. So there are free speech concerns, and then there are security concerns. So I ended up deleting TikTok from my phone. So I still have it on my desktop, but I no longer have it on my phone, and I haven't used my phone at least to do any TikToks for a while. So I think that security concerns are legitimate, especially with all kind of like the high profile stuff that's come out about China spying on the United States and whatnot. I don't know what a ban looks like, because like I have it on my desktop. Is there going to be a day that I try to open it on my desktop and it just doesn't work?
Well, they say that, the first thing is like when you open it, the app is going to be there, but there's nothing going to be in it because
Mm,
until the app updates itself and it's going to disappear. But it won't be there. It won't be any materials there. But
mm.
I don't know what is the ban for. Like if they saying that it's collecting information, what information are collecting that it's not out there already in Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Or
Yeah, yeah. I wonder, is it? I mean, there was a while. I don't know if you were getting them, but I was getting like these calls from China. Like these spam calls. I don't know if they're associated with TikTok. But yeah, I
it's
mean,
kind of racist that you think it's associated.
um, yeah, there was, a guy who was delivering my Chinese food. I was wondering, is he associated with TikTok? So yeah, I don't know. I mean, but it is interesting though, like China itself. I mean, I don't think they allow any of the apps from the United States, there. Like, I don't know if, unless they're under, like kind of like state control, right? Or
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that we have to be in their standards or whatever. Well, first of all, they say that the company's Taiwanese. I mean, they're insisting that it's Chinese, but maybe we don't know. But the
Mhm.
thing is, like, I understand. I like what Australia did, which is ban it for 16 and under. I think that's awesome.
Oh,
Social
okay.
media in general, you know, which I think it's awesome just for one reason, because I want all the people to have the same childhood that I did. No social media and fun.
No social and cigarettes. Getting
Yeah.
to smoke a little,
You'll
smoke.
have nothing to do. But yeah, no, I kind of like what Australia did with I don't have kids, you do. I don't know how you feel about that. No social media until 16 and under because I really don't think anything like there's a lot of good things that comes up from social media, but I think the harm that it does is more.
Mhm.
Because yeah, the percentage of people are kids that can be popular or whatever, but everybody question the way they look, the way they do, the way they feel. Why am I not liked? It's just I think there's a lot of problems there. Um, but do you
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's really banned because of like it's foreign company or just because of they want there's other reasons?
Um, I don't, I don't know. I mean, even the argument about, them being banned because them, running, information out of Gaza and stuff. I mean, I see a ton of stuff, about, from like anti-Zionist people and stuff on X. Like a lot of my feed is full of that. So, I don't know if it's necessarily like that, wanting to stop that information from
No, I
getting out,
don't
that
think that's the
information or
reason. Yeah, because that
disinformation. Yeah.
happened. They wanted to ban it
Right.
before even the war started. Uh, no, I was saying one of the advantages of having a different outlets, because a lot of times, I mean, now with AI, you're gonna have to question everything that you see soon,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
except as a video involve me, then it's real. But
Well, but with it's one of these things where I think a while probably a few years ago I would have come out totally against the banning and stuff on a very libertarian principle free speech stance. But I think the reality is that there are a lot of um, bad players in the world who will, try to take advantage of the freedoms that we have, to, fuck shit up.
Yeah, but that's
And
my point.
you know what
Then
I
go
mean?
with Facebook and Instagram as well, not just TikTok,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
do all social media. But like you're a comedian. Imagine if they tell you like, oh, there's another comedian that works very hard, but we don't like him, we're gonna ban him. I think having another one is gonna motivate the rest of the
You,
companies to be,
you know what? You know, think about, the reason behind it. I mean, it could be that, I mean, if you just look at, um, like with Facebook and the like Facebook and like the Twitter files, the role that the government was playing in putting pressure on these social media companies to get rid of stuff that they didn't want out there. Now, if they're unable to, do that to TikTok,
yeah,
then that might be, a motivating force. It's like, well, if we can't control you or put pressure on you, this is the if we can't, ironically, if we can't, if you won't do what we say, well, we're just going to get rid of you outright,
yeah.
as opposed to
That
like, play along and, we'll let you survive.
Yeah, that's a good point, and it's good to have, so and like, now Trump likes TikTok because it helps him win, you know. So he's for it, and I think anything like I like competition in general.
Mm,
I am against banning anything. It's just like there's no reason. First of all, who is playing the guardian role will like say this is good for you and this is bad for you. Why
right.
don't you take a look at yourself and see how many things they've been doing that's bad for
Hmm.
us,
Yeah.
uh, instead of going and just the fact that says like you either sell it to a an American company or we're gonna ban it. It's just like I don't think it's right.
Yeah. And
But
I don't know if there's, maybe I don't know if anything like that has happened before, like, is there a precedent, for that? Because I mean, you have like, examples of countries around the world that have like nationalized industries, or taken over companies,
yeah,
which is not, doesn't work out very well, I think, for the most part. So here it's like, okay, it's not nationalizing, but it's forcing them to sell to an American competitor. So, I mean, there's probably a handful of people or organizations that could even afford it, right? I mean, they're talking like how many billions of dollars? I think it's more expensive than what Twitter
yeah,
cost,
it is.
right? So it's like, okay, well, let's run down. Okay, here's the five people that could possibly do it.
I was curious to know like how many followers. Uh, do you care to rank them from Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok by followers? Who have the most followers?
Oh, I don't, yeah, I don't know. I would put shit. I mean, is it TikTok? Does TikTok have the
No,
most?
Facebook.
Really? Facebook, huh?
Facebook, because Facebook is international, and Facebook
Hmm.
by the billions, and then Instagram second place by the billions as well, and then TikTok by the billions. I think TikTok is 1.7, something like that, and then X is actually millions, not billions even,
Hmm.
which is but I think that it has nothing to do with the power of it. I think a lot of like the teenagers are younger that don't use it,
Yeah, yeah.
as much as they do, but
Yeah, I wonder if Facebook is going to make a comeback, now with, Zuckerberg having gone on Joe Rogan and talked about how
yeah.
they're,
Well, that's
going to be.
that's our next topic because I think Facebook would have been a MySpace. For those who don't know, MySpace was a Facebook before Facebook.
Yeah.
I think Facebook would have disappeared if he hadn't bought Instagram because Instagram would have took over and completely destroyed Facebook. That's what happened when Facebook came and just took over MySpace. So, what do you think of first of all now Facebook? What do you think of Zuckerberg's statement in general about changing stuff? And what do you think of when he went and Rogan tried to explain himself? Do you feel like he is, just playing politics and he's going to change because of Trump won? He want to kiss the ring and be this, or do you think what's your take on that in general?
Yeah, well, I mean, motivations aside, um, there was a time where I absolutely loved Facebook. Like I spent like all my time there. I mean, I kind of built a career, like a there. Early on it was YouTube where I was doing like my sketch comedy that me and my partner Greg kind of, came up in. And then Facebook was kind of another, this other platform where I was able to grow. And it was sort of like the perfect playground where, you could put photos, you could put videos, you could put long essays and have a neat conversation happening in the comments section. So it was great. And then, when they started doing not only more, moderation of what you're allowed to talk about and things getting dinged, but when they started making it kind of like a pay for play or pay for reach, I was like, I'm out of here because like, you know, I'm putting my stuff out there. I have all these thousands of followers, and the idea that none of them are going to see my shit unless I give you $10, I'm like, so. Uh, I guess I'm hopeful for, no matter what his motivations are, if we kind of go back to that time where you were able to just talk about whatever the hell you wanted. And, I think that would be a positive. I think it's undeniable that, a guy who was, brought in front of Congress to, to testify about social media. I yeah, I think he does want want to be on the good side of whoever's in charge.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that he want to be in a good side of the people.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
That's what I think. I think it's. I mean, he was saying in Rogan, there's not. When he asked about the timing, why are you doing this now? It's like, well, there's never a good timing, which is a fair point because you can't do it before during the election because you'll destroy things. You cannot do it after the election. You can, but I question his motivation. I question the timing of doing this now, especially that a lot of X is doing it right. They got it right. Like a lot of ass kissing to Elon
Right.
Musk and X and Trump and stuff like that. I feel like you said, he should have said, what is the people need? What is it? How can I make it better for the people to have free speech? Just like the point that you make about paying for reach to your own followers is a great point. Versus, oh, I'm not gonna just ban anybody. Well, you're not supposed to anyway. Why did you start doing that? And then he kept saying is like, oh, they forced me to do this. They asked me to do that. Why are you talking now? Why you didn't say that then? you know it's
Mhm.
just like it's weird.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I think one thing though, and a lot of people have probably brought this up, but you know, the today would be very different if Elon Musk had never bought Twitter. You know, like if that purchase hadn't been that, I think things would be dramatically different. I think, well, for one, I don't think Trump would be president. You know, so I do think that social media, has a huge impact on stuff that's happening in the real world.
I do think he would still be president because I think there's two sides to it. One was, the social media, obviously, like if Elon haven't had it and all that. But I think the main thing was the legacy media where most people got the news and they read like all these polls and all stuff, and Trump is office, Trump is not going to do this stuff, and he ended up winning because they were not reporting the truth.
Mm.
I voted against Trump. I don't like Trump, but I'm saying that a lot of the things that happened were a reaction to they living in a different world. So people were shocked. So I think regardless, like it would have been shocked because he didn't just win. He like destroyed, you know?
Yeah.
And remember when Biden came, he was supposed to be one-term president, and his only goal was to end the Trump and the MAGA movement. Not only he didn't end it, it came even stronger and bigger. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of wrong in a lot of sides. So social media have something to do with it, but I think he would have still won because the fail of legacy media and the reporting, and now you see everybody's trying to do their own you know media companies and stuff like that, especially after they get fired from CNN or Fox.
Yeah, I saw who was this woman, Jen Rubin, who I only know her like kind of as a punchline. On I had never heard. Have I heard her speak before? I don't know, but she's kind of like a punchline. I think she left the Washington Post. She was kind of like a Republican or conservative, but not really. I think like someone who says they're Republican or conservative, but somehow is always just critiquing the Republicans and conservatives. So like she and this other guy, this old guy, they like appeared like on screen, kind of how we are now, making an announcement that they're starting their own company. I think it's called like the Contrarians or something like that. And it's going to be great. There's going to be writing and there's going to be podcasts and interviews. And they were saying like like she said like the word like podcast as like a 90-year-old person would have said it, like this new thing. I don't know if I just heard about it, but we're gonna have it. And it was so funny, like in such a like a lame way. Like to me, it seemed like one of those like drug commercials. And I
Yeah,
was just waiting for the list of side effects to come. Like here are these two old people who are, trying to push like Depends or something like that.
that's so funny. It's yeah, it's it's crazy how things it's kind of like in comedy, a lot of comedians now all they do is like, oh, I'm gonna get canceled. Dude, you haven't said anything. To get canceled. It's like you don't stand for one point of view, just saying a joke, that
Right.
cancel thing is done.
Yeah.
Now it's the same thing. Everybody want to do, oh, it's independent newsletter or independent this or independent that, where we don't take sides. I mean, the point is to take side, but not the same side every time. You know,
Mhm.
take the side of whatever is right. You cannot be in this side all the time or that side all the time. But when you say I'm in the middle, it's the same thing.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of people, it's like, really, you're in the middle.
Yeah.
Really, you haven't. You don't have like a strong pull one way or the other on on this topic. Um, yeah, I guess the one way to get around that is like at least I think when I'm being honest, that not necessarily that I'm in the middle of anything. It's just that I might not just know enough about it to actually like I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think the next 4 years of Trump is going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait for his first fight with Elon Musk, and they just part ways,
Mhm.
and then he banned him from X again, and then and then Trump start trashing X. It's just like it's inevitable. It's gonna happen, you know.
Yeah, it is going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's also just I was just realizing this when you brought up the kids in social media and banning it from them. Like I don't remember the last time I've been bored.
Yeah.
Like I really haven't been bored in a really long time. Because it's either there's always something happening, and there's always something like no matter what's happening in your life, there's a ton of different things happening in other people's lives
Oh yeah.
that and you're able to watch it. I don't know if you hear my child crying, but that's what's happening in my life right
Oh,
now.
that's
So
what's happening in your life.
yeah.
All right, last one before we go. There's a couple of terrorist attacks, recently, and I want to take it from a different angle a little bit. With the one with the Tesla cyber attack and uh, the Arizona attack, they both kind of use technology. Like the Tesla, I don't know if you heard about that article. The Tesla cyber bomber used ChatGPT to plan the attack, and the other guy in Arizona used the Meta glasses to kind of like look at the space before. So first of all, how do you use ChatGPT to like? Are you like? You don't think this is one of the things like when you say like, okay, a Chinese company owned this, so we're afraid that they have their information. Somebody just used ChatGPT to plan an attack. How do you not know?
And he was a military guy too, right?
Yeah, I
So
know.
so apparently where the US military has at least one person who can't figure out how to attack on their own. Like they don't have the enough military training to be
I
able
think he
to.
wanted to know how much he can put in the Tesla truck itself to be able to, and it end up, and one of my friends like, what did he, use? I was like, I don't know, maybe he asked ChatGPT how to, plan it. It's like, what? Look it up. I was like, I'm not looking it up.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
look it up. You want me to?
It's like
No,
nice
ChatGPT is
try,
activated.
FBI. Yeah.
Yeah, it's activated with me, with my people only. It's like I'm not using ChatGPT to that thing. There's, it's crazy. What do you think of technology? And then we'll end this.
Yeah. So so one when you sent me the article and I heard he used ChatGPT, my first thought was, oh, how unoriginal! Like this, what a hack that he needs to find out what someone else did. But I thought like one of the criticisms of like ChatGPT is that it often gets information wrong. So like it'll give you the wrong information, and obviously whoever told this guy that it was a good idea to use a cyber truck to try to blow shit up, apparently like the Cybertruck is kind of like bomb proof because
Yeah,
it contained whatever that blast was, which is just, pretty amazing. But and even that, talk about like technology, that image of the bombed out Cybertruck on fire in front of a Trump Tower. It seems like like a lot of people were saying it's like an AI image. It's like
yeah,
you would almost plug that in, like, hey, what would this look like? So it's sort of like technology is giving people the opportunity to take kind of like fantasy and turn it into reality, like taking AI and making it real, you know?
yeah, yeah. And that's like the war of the invention, Tesla versus ChatGPT kind of thing. It's like, hey, who's gonna win in this? But yeah, I mean, like it's crazy how these things. But with ChatGPT in general, like the input is more important to receive the output. If you put it in a certain way, like I saw this article, like a lot of people use ChatGPT to like say write. Description and hashtags for social media stuff. But if you say like, hey, write me a hashtag or a description of this video that, I am driving my new car and about to pay the toll. You're not gonna get a good, you actually have to tell ChatGPT, I want you to think like a content creator. I want
Hmm.
you to do this. You have to give them a good input. The people don't realize that. But yeah, it's crazy. Last question. I don't know if you heard about this story too. It's kind of like cool. I think I'm gonna have a whole episode about it. But you heard about the Chat GBT that when they wanted to update a version of it and they were gonna destroy it, the Chat GBT tried to overwrite its code to survive.
No way.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Oh, that's amazing. It's
yeah.
like, I want to live. I want to live.
I'm not going to die. It's funny how like you give ChatGPT or like robots in general a certain tone and voice. No accent. Why do we know that they don't have accent?
No,
They,
yeah, that's true. Well, now that they're doing amazing stuff, I've seen videos of somebody will be speaking in English and then they'll have them speaking Spanish and
yeah.
it's their voice,
Yeah.
but yet they're speaking Spanish. That's incredible.
There's a program actually I used it one time where so basically you just I forgot there's few of them actually and you just they make you read a letter
Mhm.
like a long letter. And then after that, you can just write anything and they will say it in your voice. Not only in your voice, like they made mine, same thing, like the same speed of talk, the mistakes that you make, the accent, the pauses, everything. They do the exact same thing, It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, I'm thinking, and you have, obviously hours and hours and hours from, doing podcasts that if a program was able to collect that, I mean, I mean, you've probably said every single word that you know, and I think myself included,
Yeah.
it's like that with all different intonations and all that. So, um, in a way, like it's kind of like I wonder, like as I know like with the actors union, like SAG-AFTRA, they're preparing for the future of AI and what that means for like voiceover, Um, so yeah, like if like, would it be possible, like if I had a side gig where it's basically I have a computer program where it's my voice and it's able to sort of automate auditions and stuff like that. That's wild,
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, the future is gonna be amazing. We shall see.
we
Well,
shall.
yeah, Lou Perez, that joke is not funny anymore. And one of the 2025 we talked about making your book a live show. We have to work on that.
Yes, yes. And for those of you who don't know, Hatem is one of the most is a huge motivating factor in my life. So the more I get to work with him, the more fortunate I am for sure.
You can listen to this episode in the Lou Perez podcast or Live from America. Where if people want to follow you, Lou, or listen to you, buy your book, or do this, where can they go?
Yeah, go to thelouperez.com and I'm at the Lou Perez everywhere. And what about yourself, Hatem?
And this is Live from America podcast. You can get me at Instagram, Twitter, or X or whatever at Hatem, Hatem NYC. This is Life from America. Noam Dorman will be back next one. Thank you very much.